Hello, dear crafty friends. Today I have 5 easy die cutting tips to share with you. And this is actually a live I shared a few years ago, but I've re-edited down the original to the essential parts. And I'm going to be doing that with a few lives in my archive because sometimes people just don't watch 1 hour lives and would skip over something like this. But I thought that these die cutting tips were so helpful when I first started die cutting, so I wanted to share a more condensed version with you. So let's get started. Die cutting tip number 1 is that you can die cut layers of tulle to create really cute embellishments, and not just tulle but other thin fabric. So this can be used in like planners, junk journals, and snail mail like pocket letters. I'll have this sparkly tulle linked down below in the video description, but all you do is basically fold up your tulle a few times, and I want to say you want to do, to be safe, like 5 layers max. I did more than 5. I think I did 10, and just my die cutting machine could not cut through all of the layers. But if you do less layers, it's certainly going to die cut. Now with wafer thin dies, you can only cut a few layers of like paper and material like fabric, like can only have a certain amount of thickness, I guess you could say. But if you have steel rule dies, then you would be able to cut through like probably 20 layers of tulle. But this is a great way, like I said, to create little fun embellishments that are super easy to make. All you have to do is layer your tulle once it's die cut, and then just grab like a tiny attacher, staple that in the middle, and just put like a sticker or another die cut on top and create a perfectly cute, perfectly quick embellishment. While you're watching me die cut this heart die in the sparkly gold tulle, I wanted to take a moment to thank everyone who watched this original live. I really appreciate every single one of you, and I wanted to personally thank you and name some of the people that watched this original live. And some of you I'm still in touch with, but others we've just missed each other. But regardless, I'm so thankful for every single one of you, and I'm going to name the names that people that left comments in the original video. So thank you, Lynn Clifton, Tracy Martindale, Helen Griffin, Handmade by Emma, Deb Schlicksup, Laura, Amy, Anastasia, Sarah Louise, Maria Husk, Ann Lee, and Orija. And also, I know that there are probably more, but for some reason, sometimes the comments just didn't show up. So I'm sorry if I didn't name you. There's something wrong with YouTube. Die cutting tip number 2 is to create a stockpile of your die cuts in basic colors like black, white, and vellum, but especially black cardstock. There's so many times where I just needed a little something to add to my journal layout or snail mail, and all I needed was like a wispy, leafy vellum die cut or a bold black die cut to add, and that really saved me. Also, it's really fun to just put on a movie you've watched before and have a die cutting stash building session. The amount of stuff that I can die cut while watching a Jane Austen movie is like astonishing, so I highly recommend it. Now take a moment and just look at the difference between a die cut from vellum versus the same die cut from black cardstock. To me, there's such a big difference. Like I said earlier, one looks like very wispy and airy, and the other one can look very bold and attention grabbing. Like, who would have thought something so simple like changing papers would make such a difference? Die cutting tip number 3 is to cut your single die into a repeated and attached strip. Now, when I first discovered this, I was super excited, and this one is a little tricky to explain, but bear with me. So I'm going to do it twice so you can see. So once I'll do it with a butterfly die, and then the second time I'll do it with a ticket die. And you can pretty much do this trick with any die. So you want to start off with a strip of paper, so probably something that's 8 inches by 12 inches, and you want to make sure your paper width is bigger than your die. Next, you're going to fold your paper strip into an accordion, so just back and forth on itself a few times. But you need to make sure that when you fold it, the die edges go over the edge of your fold, and this will create a strip of repeated attached butterflies. So you can see as I'm folding my paper back and forth, I'm making sure that the edge of the wings are clearly over the edge of the paper as I'm folding it back and forth. And if you remember, like I said earlier, when I was die cutting the tulle, you want to make sure that you don't do like you can't cut too many layers at a time with wafer thin dies. So I'm only going to fold my paper strip like back and forth on itself, maybe a max of 4 times, because I'm concerned it's not going to cut all the way through. As you can see, the butterflies are attached in a strip, and what I love about this technique is that it brings new life to your existing dies, because after a while you're like, what else can I do with this die? And when I worked at Sizzix, my whole job was to like find different ways to use a single die. So this die cutting tip is a good one to practice and learn because it works so well and it's fairly easy. It might take you a few times to like try it out and get comfortable with it, but once you know how to do it and figure it out, it's so fun. So next I'm going to do this with a ticket die. And you know, ticket rolls are like so beautiful, but they're also really pricey on like Etsy. So you can just make your own ticket strips, and all you need is a single ticket die. Die cutting tip number 4 is to cut your dies from other materials like felt, fabric, or even thin why can't I say this? Leather. Thin leather. And doing this is going to give your paper projects just such a cool texture. And felt is, I think it's pretty cheap, so you can just have a stash in your favorite colors and then pull your favorite dies and then do some die cutting. Look what happens when I layer the same die cut from felt and the same die cut from tulle. So this is both like the same exact heart die that I used, you know, on tulle and one on felt. And it's just so cute when you layer those two different materials together. And you get a really cute embellishment that a big scrapbook brand name would charge you like $7 for a pack of 4 of these. So you can save money and DIY these cute embellishments yourself. On to my final die cutting tip. So get yourself to a thrift store or a charity shop and buy some old maps, music sheet books, or old dictionaries, because it's so easy to die cut from these types of papers, especially maps, because they're already in like folds and you can easily cut multiple layers of a die at one time. Bonus tip, here's how I store my die cuts that I've cut multiples of. So I got this mini accordion file folder. It's supposed to be for receipts, but it works really well with die cuts. Also, I don't know where this thing is, by the way, and I may have given it to Shoshana, my former coworker at Craftstash. So Shauna, if you can let me know if I did give this to you so I can stop looking for it like a mad woman, I'd greatly appreciate it. And yeah, if you do have it, awesome. I'm so happy and I hope you've been loving it. Otherwise, if you don't have it, I'm going to keep looking because I loved this thing. Well, that's it from me, friends. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you found these tips helpful. Also, if you want to let me know any die cutting tips that you've learned over the years, you can leave those in the comments. I always love hearing from you. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon. Bye!